The Shadow King just reminded us that it is only through eternal vigilance that destructive powers such as his are kept at bay. A moment's weakness, and he will return. Yet, he also gave me a priceless gift.
Gift?
Yes. He forced me to think through why I formed the X-Men, and why we fight for our ideals and for each other. In short, why I live. For that, I will always be grateful.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another GospelX. It's been quite a while, but now we're back with myself and Henry. So welcome and thank you for joining us today. As we look at the next episode in the X-Men animated 1990 series entitled Xavier Remembers. So without further ado, I will leave it to Henry to give us a synopsis of the episode. Go for it, Henry.
Oh, what an episode. Both me and Jonathan kind of agreed, this was one of, X-Men, they kind of have hits and they kind of have misses. This one we feel was a little bit of a miss just because of just how chaotic it was and how jumbled it was. And it felt like it was going in multiple different directions. And then we had a thought, maybe that was the point of the episode itself. So without further ado, Xavier gets a concussion at the very beginning. He's lying and has a coma. He enters this dream world where a voice is telling him that he should give up. And he's in this happy place where everyone he cares about is alive, well, and doing well, and that he should just give up and don't pursue his vision, his goal anymore. And that at this point we don't know what that kind of vision or goal is. We know Xavier, you know what it is, right? But they don't really know what that voice or entity is talking about until we find out it's actually the Shadow King, an enemy of Xavier that he met many years ago. And during the episode, it's actually stated that he was the reason why Xavier formed the X-Men, because he understood and saw that there's evil out there that has to be opposed. This Shadow King is just complete malevolent evil, and Xavier getting a concussion weakened him enough so that the prison that Xavier was holding him in was weakened and they was breaking out. Long story short, he breaks out, and with the help of Jean Grey, they were able to stuff him back in to his prison. And at the end, Xavier has a reflective moment, and it says that he was actually a little bit grateful for the Shadow King because it was through this experience that he was able to understand and remember the reason why that he exists in the first place, which is to, we know Xavier, he wants to go and promote peace between humans and mutants, but on a more broader sense, he's there to use the X-Men to oppose that malevolent, that evil forces that he first experienced when he met the Shadow King.
Yeah, the evil forces that feeds into the hatred between mutants and humans, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's that earlier in that episode, that was the first time he met Storm when she was a kid too, right? And that's when the first time that he and the Shadow King met. The Shadow King was personified in a human being of this guy, right? That has a European accent. Right?
We don't even know whether or not he was like a spirit, like a malevolent.
Yeah, something that. So it's almost like
guy.
Yeah, so the Shadow King is almost like the embodiment of all evil, and he's like the source of all the evil that's happening in the world. And one of those symptoms from that evilness is the hatred between humans and mutants, right? So basically, this episode kind of personified that evil into the Shadow King. And Xavier's goal in forming the X-Men was to address that, to oppose it, to subdue it, right? Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
Though it was chaotic, and I think that the reason why it was also chaotic is because Xavier had a concussion. And I guess like they were trying to emulate what a concussion would look like if a person was concussed, and what would they be thinking is that the mind is all shattered anyway. It's all scrambled. So everything occurs. I don't know. Could be.
It could be. Yeah. Literally could be. Maybe we're reading a little bit too much.
Maybe we're really good. But let's just do that. We have the liberty to do that anyway. Let's read into it more, right?
Okay.
We're giving the benefit of the doubt for the writers that they had more substance than just to throw out something to advertise toys. So,
but I feel like the main point of this episode is that, through the experiencing of that evil, the chaos in your lives, you get to understand and remember the reason why you exist. At the very end there, Xavier was saying that one of the costs of remembering who you are and understanding why you exist and your purpose is to be eternally vigilant. It harkens back to the beginning of the episode when the Shadow King was telling him to just give it up.
Yeah.
But just give up your purpose. Just don't pursue it anymore. Just be content with, not opposing evil, but just making sure that the people around you are safe and your loved ones are safe. And that's it. You don't need to go and do anything more.
And let evil run it like be the dominant power, and because evil will provide you with happiness, type of thing, right? Look at how happy you are now, right? Type of thing. Yeah. So that's interesting how this episode just strewn a lot of ideas into this one 19-minute episode. But it is an interesting line that Xavier concluded, saying that he was also thankful because Jubilee was shocked when he said that. Like, you're thankful for what? Right? Like, you almost died, right? And we almost lost you. And and we all had these hallucinations, right? And all our phobias came out, right? And then yet Xavier said that he was thankful that the Shadow King revealed to him that of the importance of his purpose of staying on course, persevering, to persevere, to know that he, in this role that he is given in his life, that he is supposed to oppose evil, right? So, yeah, I guess it's my turn now, right?
Yeah, talk a little bit about perseverance.
Yeah, it's like interesting in the Christian sense too, how it is hard to persevere in this world. As if any of you who are watching this episode know, Christianity is not an easy life, right? What we are told to, we are told to be, which is to emulate Jesus and to follow Jesus' example, it's very hard to do so in a world that has no acknowledgement of who he is. And so the idea of washing people's feet while getting kicked in the face is very tough to continue on doing. And also to live sacrificially for others and to have sacrificial love and to putting people's interests above our own, it's very, very tough because we are basically prone to be exploited and prone to be abused. And also our moral code goes against the moral code of this world. It's different. It's mind you, we go far beyond not just thou shalt not murder. Even the whole idea of taking revenge on somebody is murder for us. And so we can't even have those thoughts in our minds. So we are always consistently, like Henry said, eternally trying to purge our evil thoughts and trying to live upright and trying to follow Jesus. And so it's tough to be a Christian out there. It's same as for Xavier. It's tough to be Xavier, to fight for what is right and to fight against evil, because evil always tempts us to say, give up that whole Christian endeavor. Just give up. You don't need to persevere. And so, for those of you who watch our sermons over at Crucible Church, we've been exploring that whole idea in Romans, where Paul, the writer, actually tells us why we should persevere. Is because Jesus is already victorious. And so we should actually be living in light of victory as opposed to in light of desperation. So our whole idea of being victorious already, that nothing can affect us, that nothing can defeat us, that even death cannot subdue us, that actually gives us the power needed to overcome those temptations from evil of telling us to give up. And so in our next sermon coming up after in June, when we begin chapter 5, Paul actually rounds up the whole entire 4 chapters saying, therefore, in light of your victory, in light of Jesus' victory, in light of you being victorious, throughout our sufferings of being Christian, of living and following Jesus, of remaining faithful in Jesus, in light of those sufferings that occur because of that, we can continue to persevere. Perseverance develops character, character develops hope. And we have that hope because of that victory, that nothing can defeat us. So I think that to be very practical, all the chaos and sufferings that we incur or encounter in life, we could do what Xavier does by taking both and, meaning, yes, there is suffering right now. I suffered. It's reality. We suffered it. But then also take the other stance of saying, what can we learn from this to remind us of who we are and where we're headed, right? And that's what Xavier did. And I think that's something that we can learn from him. It's interesting that we could learn from a cartoon character, but the cartoon character, Xavier, reminds us as Christians that, hey, yeah, it's good to sometimes to just sit down and reflect and write down all the things, all the shit that happened to us and reflect on why this happened and can we be thankful of this, reminding us who we are and where we're headed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we are victorious. That's who we are in Jesus. Where we're headed is actually to eternal life with God. So that eternal, what you're saying is the eternal, continuous eternal perseverance of heading that direction. That's my Christian opinion. another episode of my own Christian opinion, but that's what I offer to this GospelX. What do you think, Henry?
I think that sums it up very nicely. And I do agree that even though it's a cartoon, right, the characters themselves are dealing with very real human issues, and that's why we can relate to them. You know,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting because my daughter loves this series and she's only 9, so she gets it. So she even could relate, right? So it's actually a very, what do you call it? A relevant and reachable like theme, the themes that they're writing about. And I commend writers, yeah, though they are right now, though they were, really their intent was to sell toys, but, they still put some substance into it, which is good.
All right.
All right. Is that all from us, Henry?
I think that's all for us.
All right. Thank you again for joining us in another GospelX. If you have any questions, concerns, or opinions of your own, please visit my website at companyofdisciples.com and just send us a note and I will read them. We'll read them and chime back at you. So till next time, have a wonderful week.